I'm saying that every time Huey speaks, I think Ed Norton's on the screen, and it kind of pulls me out.
What? Why?
Because he has Ed Norton's voice, and it's confusing. I think it's Ed Norton, but it isn't.
I didn't notice that.
I didn't think of that. I didn't notice that either. God, where do you come up with this shit?
I don't know. I was just watching it, and I was like, God damn, his voice is just like Ed Norton's, and then I just couldn't not hear it.
Broadcasting live from inside the power band, this is The Blah. In this episode, everybody dies. I'm your host, The Mulverine, along with Prototrope, a.k.a. Jarhigo.
Yo, what's up?
And the elusive Algorithm, a.k.a. C-Lab Forever.
What's going on, guys?
And I'm excited to talk about The Boys Part 2.
Yeah, man.
Yeah. I got a couple of nerd news items that we are definitely one of them is worthy of touching on.
Nah.
Do it.
Do it. The new Star Wars trailer, I believe I mentioned it on one of the shows that I saw it a while ago, but I'm starting to see it more. So that's like a thing now, the new Star Wars film.
Yeah? Do you guys watch them? I don't watch them.
What, the trailers? I watched the trailer, but, I feel like sort of at this point we're all kind of not bullish on Star Wars anymore at all, really, in any way, shape, or form. So
my childhood has finally been murdered.
Yeah, your childhood has finally been murdered. We don't need to talk about that anymore. So, who knows how that's going to be.
Well, hopefully they sort it out, because I am not optimistic.
Yeah, I'm not optimistic either. In fact, I'm not even interested in seeing it. I am interested, and this is a news item that I forgot about, is the Joker is coming out on October 4th, which is very soon, and I am very, very interested in seeing what Joaquin Phoenix does with that character. So
I am also interested. That looks interesting. Yeah, I think Benny, you and I were chatting about this offline a little bit, where you weren't super stoked on this one. Am I remembering right?
Yeah, you are remembering correctly. I am not super stoked about the Joker.
Yeah.
But that's fine. Don't let my unenthusiasm for the subject diminish yours.
If a person's unenthusiasm for a subject stopped us from talking about something, we would never talk about anything, because I never stopped being unenthusiastic.
I'm going to go see it anyways, and, whatever. I reserve the right to be pleasantly surprised. But just for the moment, it's not something that I'm particularly excited about.
Fair enough.
I heard a rumor... I heard a rumor that Joaquin Phoenix's performance was a little over the top.
Oh, really? Well, that makes sense,
yeah.
I guess.
I just have a quick question for Prototrope.
Yes.
Did you just drop a reference to the Umbrella Academy in there? Because if you did, that was sick.
Yes, that is true.
Okay. Very nicely done.
The rumor is true.
That's why you're Prototrope, bro.
Woo!
Okay. On to the big news of this week before we get into the show. And it is related in spirit to The Boys, so it's definitely worth talking about for a moment. And that is, there is a Watchmen series coming out soon.
Yeah.
And it's going to be on HBO, and Jeremy Irons is in it, and so is Regina King, who I'm a huge fan of. I'm really a huge fan of both of them, but Regina King in particular, I'm a huge fan. If you're not familiar with Regina King, she played Rod Tidwell's wife in Jerry Maguire, and she also played, she's been in like a zillion movies, Miss Congeniality. She was also in Boys in the Hood. Anybody that saw her would recognize her in 2 seconds.
Yeah, right
She's
on.
amazing.
Yeah, I saw the trailer for it, a month or two back. I'm pretty stoked about it.
What, you saw a trailer for it a month or two back, and you just now telling us that?
Yeah, it was a secret.
I think at the same time, we were keeping it a secret from you, Kev.
Yeah.
No, I think we just assumed that you knew, because I think, didn't we, Chad, talk about that at the same time in the same conversation as the Joker? I think, Kev, you were putting little tiny Gojira to sleep, and we were yammering about up and coming things.
Oh, I got you.
It's now a lost episode.
It's part of the lost episode pantheon.
If you're a Patreon subscriber, you can listen to that content.
Yeah, exactly.
Just a one more note about that Watchmen series is that this is somewhat of a reimagining of Watchmen, which I'm even more curious to see what they're going to do with it. So
it's risky as fuck, but be cool.
I'm a little I'm a little unclear about what the gist of it is, and I'd actually like to keep it that way until I see it.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, me too. I'm actually, to be honest, I'm a little uncomfortable because I'm unclear about what exactly they're going to do. But, I'm going to roll with it, and then I'm not going to watch any spoilers or go on Instagram or anything like that because I want to go in there raw. Anyway, so those are the 3 bits of nerd news that are worth talking about. That's all I really need to say for now, right?
That's it.
Rock and roll. So let's continue on to The Boys before I crap in my pants again.
There you go.
Do you want to do the recap, Chad?
I don't mind. Yeah, can you announce it?
And now it's time for the recap of The Boys Part 1, starring Algorithm, Prototrope, and the Wolverine.
Holy shit. Yeah.
Hey, man, I'm drinking coffee, okay?
You're smashing coffees, dude. That'll definitely help with your stool consistency.
Oh, yeah.
Quick recap of last week.
God.
We touched on the comic a bit in terms of differences, and then we ended up on a major sidelining diatribe about like the end of the series and some major plot points, like Homelander killing Stillwell, the airplane scene, and then spent about 45 minutes talking about how scary Homelander is. So we covered a lot of the really big, meaty topics, and we should be able to get into some of the more interesting little tidbits on this episode.
The nitty-gritty.
Yeah.
In it.
Can we do this episode without mentioning Homelander?
Let's be interesting.
Yes, that is the real challenge for us here at the podcast.
Fuck.
I still think it was good, but it was just very... We definitely did a deep dive on a few topics instead of covering the whole series. So it'd be nice to spend a bit more time on the rest of the series.
Definitely. Yeah.
Okay, so that was the recap of what we talked about last week. Do you want to do sort of overall impressions of the series, Chad?
Yeah, just thought it would be interesting to cover a few of the high-level things that we might not have been able to touch on last week because of our diatribe.
Our diatribe, yes.
Yeah, I think I might have touched on it a little bit in the previous episode, but the major like for me is I love how they monetized superheroes and the kind of corporate culture of it. It's a great poke at the comics industry, and I love how it just like is a major takedown of corporations and kind of like capitalism and stuff. I really enjoyed the way that they kind of wove modern bullshit, corporate suit type dudes in with superheroes and them being kind of twisted.
Absolutely. Yeah, I mean, we've seen businessmen as heroes, right? Like Tony Stark and Ozymandias from Watchmen.
Sure.
Speak of the devil.
Ooh, nice name drop.
Bruce Wayne, I mean, they're all over the place, but I believe this is the first time that I've seen, business running the superheroes.
Yeah, for sure. And most of the people you gave examples of are, everyone's like, besides Ozymandias, obviously, I suppose even Ozymandias, everyone's in love with them as, benefactors of society, da-da-da-da-da. And in this case, it's like the corporate greed is not, is not really shining a good light on everybody.
Right, yeah, it's kind of the opposite.
Yeah.
Right. I very much echo what Chad said. I mean, I sort of alluded to it in my little sarcastic comment about the way the movie business is, but it really flips what's going on in the world, really, with corporations and with everybody's current sort of obsession with superhero films, and just mashes it all together and turns it upside down. And
the timing is good. 30 fucking Marvel movies in, it's a good time to talk a bit of smack about it.
Absolutely flawless timing. So kudos to, the gang there at The Boys that have created it and written it and all of that. Really, the timing is great. I don't, and I mean, I'm actually pretty psyched to say this. I don't really have any dislikes about this series.
Yeah, nothing major.
There's really nothing that I'm even like, well, everything was, in my opinion, really well written, to the point where they, especially after listening to Chad's diatribe about the comic series, they've written it so well that they've gone above and beyond the comic series. Just the way they structured all the scenes was great. I really enjoyed the acting. I thought the cast was phenomenal.
You're right, Chad?
Great.
I'm dying.
Great dialogue. I was going to say,
myself.
who's that? Oh my gosh. All right. Well, we're going to take a break while Chad cleans himself up,
Oh, no,
folks.
it's
We'll be right back in about 30 minutes.
That's the beauty of audio. You guys don't, get to smell or see anything.
Yeah, right. That is part of the beauty.
Is that when you did you just die, Chad? Is that your death?
That's my death. Yeah, I died by violently shitting.
Oh my god. Yeah, I'm sorry, Kev. I think you were talking last, but I kind of interrupted you because I couldn't hear what you were saying because Chad was like, like
I know. I remember that. I remember that egregious discretion. We were talking about just sort of the overall likes and dislikes, and I was just saying that there's really nothing I don't like about this series. I think it's fantastic. It's one of the better things I've watched in the last couple of years. So there.
For sure. I was curious if, Benny, you had anything you wanted to chime in on likes or dislikes.
Yeah, I mean, as everybody will gather, I really enjoyed the hell out of it. I loved it. I really liked the dark humor, the sort of, Paul Verhoeven dark humor mixed with gore and, the intensity of everything. Like, the actors were really, really good. The writing was really good. Yeah, I have no complaints. I can't wait for season 2.
Yeah, totally.
Same here.
As far as dislikes for me, yeah, similarly, nothing major at all. The only thing I could come up with was similar to our conversation about Umbrella. They didn't have a lot of time to get into many of the peripheral heroes, like Black Noir or the Lamplighter, which is the guy that Starlight replaces. Like, just didn't have enough time, I suppose, to get into some of the peripheral stuff, which would have been nice, but I get why they couldn't.
Yeah, Black Noir. What a ridiculous.
That's such a good name.
What? Lamplighter or Black Noir?
Black Noir.
I know.
Like, noir is black in French. It's like black.
Hello.
I love the Black Noir piano scene where he sits down next to the dude and he's like, "Okay, I'll just leave now," and starts smashing out some classical. That was funny.
That was good.
And I mean, Ben, tell me what you think, but I like that. I mean, he's pretty much Snake Eyes.
Yeah, he is.
But no, he is Snake Eyes. I mean, he's got the shurikens. Sorry, throwing stars. He's got the joint compound. He's got the menthols.
He's got it all.
He's got the pretty much the same exact outfit as Snake Eyes, minus the cool visor. He's Snake Eyes, dude.
He is Snake Eyes. I'll go with that, man. Yo Joe.
Yo Joe, man. He is.
Was it Yo Joe or Gojo?
It was Yo Joe. Wait, holy shit! Wait a second.
Don't further beat my childhood to death by telling me that I got this wrong the whole time. I thought it was Gojo.
Ben,
is Jimmy Google on this or what?
I don't know.
I have no idea. No, it was Gojo. It was Gojo.
Like the hand soap, like the shit mechanics use to get grease off their hands.
yeah, the orange shit. Oh wow! If you type in G.I. Joe, if you ask Jimmy Google G.I. Joe Gojo, half of the results are articles about Yojo versus Gojo. Oh, it says it depends on how old you are.
Ah,
wait, what? No, it doesn't.
So you're saying because Kev and I are older, we thought it was Yojo and you thought it was Gojo?
Maybe.
Well, folks, now you know.
And knowing is half the battle.
So yes, Black Noir is Snake Eyes. I like how we spent more time on Black Noir than the show did.
Yeah, I love that we did that.
I mean, there was the really juicy fight with the female.
Yeah, that was cool.
That was good, and then the piano scene.
That was a really good taste for sure, and I really liked that scene. That fight scene with Kimiko was really, really great.
Yeah, and then is the character dead or not? Actually, they're alive. Bait and switch was actually well handled in that particular case.
Oh, you mean with her being basically Wolverine? Yeah.
Yeah, she basically dies and Frenchie's all upset and then she comes back to life and his face is just kind of like, holy shit. So I like that. I got one more minor dislike, which it's kind of like once you hear it, you might never forgive me for saying it, but...
you're such a dick. Go ahead, what?
Huey has stolen Ed Norton's voice box. And every time he fucking speaks, I'm just like, Ed Norton? And it's confusing.
Ed Norton meaning Edward Norton or Ed Norton as in Ralph Cramden?
Ed Norton as in Edward Norton.
Hey, Ralphie boy.
So what are you saying?
I'm saying that every time Huey speaks, I think Ed Norton's on the screen, and it kind of pulls me out.
What? Why?
Because he has Ed Norton's voice, and it's confusing. I think it's Ed Norton, but it isn't.
I didn't notice that.
I didn't think of that. I didn't notice that either.
Yeah.
God, where do you come up with this shit?
I don't know. I was just watching it, and I was like, God damn, his voice is just like Ed Norton's, and then I just couldn't not hear it.
That might be the best obscure nerded out comment that any one of us has made on the podcast to date.
Or AKA the weirdest gripe that anyone's ever had on the podcast. It's like, really? That's really
Wow.
you're gonna say that out loud? Like, who gives a shit, bro?
You know what? I don't. This is one of those things that you say that like I really don't know, but now I'm going to go back and watch it and try to figure that out, and then I'll respond in the beginning of another.
You'll never be able to unhear it.
No, I'm gonna respond in the beginning of another episode about that particular comment.
We'll do a 15-minute follow-up in another episode. It'll be great content.
Yeah, let's do it. We'll do a 15-minute follow-up to the 8-hour Boys episode that we currently have going. Yeah, that's
The
a
Boys,
great
part 6.
idea,
We're
Kev.
going to end up with like more episodes on this show than there are actual episodes of the show.
I know. We were, we can knock it out in one. We do with the Umbrella Academy.
I think the only way I would notice if Huey sounded like somebody is if he sounded exactly like H. John Benjamin.
Yeah, fair enough.
Yeah, totally, man. Good call.
Like, wait a minute. Is that guy the same guy that does the voice for Bob's Burgers? Is that the guy? Is that Archer? Is that
That's the guy that's Archer, totally. Okay, let's get back on topic.
All right, full steam ahead, boys.
Full steam ahead. Okay, so Chad, are you done with your dislikes?
You done with your fucking whinging?
Yeah, are you done with your hating on the show?
Yes.
Our favorite show in the universe. Are you done? Okay.
Best show.
Cast and music. You guys let's talk about that for just a second. I think we all agree that the cast is amazing.
Totally.
Yeah, I think we've already touched on our buddy Carl Urban, and we definitely spent a lot of time praising Anthony Starr.
For sure.
We did.
And I reckon Starlight's casting was fantastic. She was absolutely perfect.
Oh, yeah.
She is so good, man. Ben, are you sure that you and I don't need to talk about how awesome Carl Urban is for another 15 minutes?
We can do that, but we might get death threats.
Hey, you know what? This is good a time as any to tell the folks at home we are going to save that for our Carl Urban extravaganza episode. That's right. You heard it here first. We are doing an entire 8-part series episodes about Carl Urban. So we will talk about that then. Boom. And that's in season 4 of In This Episode, Everybody Dies.
With special guest Carl Urban.
That's right. And special guest Tiny Gojira. I mean, let's not leave anybody out.
Absolutely.
The original special guest.
The original special guest Tiny Gojira. All right. So let's keep us on track because we definitely did not talk. I just want a couple quick things I wanted to say about the cast. Really, really great cast. And there's some phenomenal actors in here. Simon Pegg.
Yeah, Simon Pegg.
Do you guys know that the Simon Pegg did it, and they got Simon Pegg to do it because the design for the character was actually based on how Simon Pegg looks
In the comic.
Oh my God.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think one of the commentaries was talking about that. It's hilarious.
That is, yeah.
Yeah.
That is really hilarious.
And he was like, well, fuck it. I guess I'll do it.
Yeah, Huey was meant to be Simon Pegg in the comic. So I guess like he was too old to play Huey, but they were like, oh, let's get him to play the dad, which is pretty awesome.
Oh, is that what it was?
Yeah.
I gotta say, I was a little thrown off when I saw that Simon Pegg was the dad. And I mean, maybe this is just like a testament to how old that we are getting, and I'm not realizing it because I still think the 90s was 5 minutes ago. Is that I saw Simon Pegg as the dad, and I was like, well, that's not going to work. He's like our age. And I was like, wait.
Wait, what?
Yeah, wait, what? Because Jack Quaid, I looked it up. He's 27, and Simon Pegg is 49. So that dopes out perfectly. And, for all the folks at home that don't know this, Jack Quaid is the son of Hollywood royalty Meg Ryan and Dennis Quaid.
No way.
No shit.
I'm the one person who didn't know that.
No, yeah, I didn't know it either.
I guarantee you that the folks at home know that, and you two nerds didn't know that. Now I'm upset with both of you. You should be ashamed.
I am. But my mind is blown, so that's cool.
Did you really not know that?
No shit. I had no idea.
Okay, well then it's not. I'm not lambasting anybody. That's a nugget. You know what I mean? Like that's a nice little nugget right there. Yeah, Jack Quaid. He's the son. I mean, you can see it in his face. He looks like Dennis Quaid.
You know what though, Kev? You can't hear it in his voice.
He sounds like fucking Ed Norton.
Who clearly, apparently is his cousin. Totally.
Oh, Jesus.
You know what? Here's a nice little tidbit about Simon Pegg that I'm sure you guys didn't know. I hate to keep bringing up Star Wars since it's such a tender topic.
It was like Unko Plot or whatever
he played Unkar Plot in Force Awakens. I didn't realize that.
You can have 3 portions, or whatever the hell it is.
1/2 portion.
That's where you died, Kev. You're dead. You're fucking dead, bro.
That's where I died? My flawless impression of Unkar Plot? I don't think so.
Yeah, absolutely. You're fucking dead, bro. You brought Star Wars back into this. Star Wars is dead to me.
Oh my God. Hang on, I gotta jot that down.
George Lucas is dead to me. Star Wars is dead to me, and now you're dead to me.
Kev, you just made me want to make a cartoon that you could voice where it's just Unkar Plot, like being super stingy with the portions. Like people are bringing in like really awesome shit, and he's like, 1/8 portion. You know,
that is a really good idea, but. I will even take your idea, Ben, and I'm going to elevate it one notch. And when I tell you what my idea is,
you're going to die again. Based
on your sweet idea, your head is literally going to explode. And I'm sorry to do yet another digression. I think the title of this episode should be "Digressions in the Boys," but here is the digression. We need to resurrect the old idea of Boo Berry, Steven Seagal, but not Steven Seagal, and Christopher Lambert all living in an apartment together, and add Unkar Plot to that threesome.
That's pretty good.
Oh my God.
It's like the new Golden Girls.
Do you remember that?
Making donuts in the Belgian Highlands.
That's right. That's it. It's an ancient donut secret from the Belgian Highlands.
I'm Boo Berry. Oh my God.
And what is Steven Seagal just like beating someone up in the background, or does he say stuff?
No, he's the one that loves the donuts. I think it was about them starting a donut business.
Okay.
Because of Steven's love of donuts. And it's not Steven Seagal, it's just Steven.
Oh, okay. Well, clearly, Unkar Plot would be the guy that he is on the food truck selling the donuts, and he kind of is stingy with selling the donuts.
Exactly.
Yeah. Exactly. I like it.
But I feel like there was something about Boo Berry and Christopher Lambert sounding like they're the same, or...
No, so the Chris Lambert kept turning into Boo Berry. Like, you know, he would
Oh, that's what it was.
1 minute, you know, like, and he's talking to Steven Seagal, and Steven Seagal can't track, like, whether he's Lambert or Boo Berry, you know. He's like, Chris, you know, I think I could really use another donut. And then, you know, all of a sudden he's like, no, I'm Boo Berry now.
Right, exactly. Because like Boo Berry basically possesses or lives inside of Christopher Lambert. And I think we even posited that that's how Christopher Lambert, that's why he talks that way. Because he secretly has Boo Berry living inside him / possessing him. Dude, this is gotta be. We have to make that.
It has to be. It has to be a thing. So anybody that can animate out there, you know,
call us.
Now's your time
immediately, and you can call us at 555-555-DIES.
Oh fuck. So, anyways, The Boys, good show.
That's the hotline. Anyway, so. Let's talk about. So anyway, Simon Pegg was Unkar Plot, and I just wanted to. The only other thing I wanted to throw in about the cast was that I didn't realize this, and I thought this was kind of a cool little tidbit. Laz Alonso, who's absolutely awesome as Mother's Milk in this. He was in the Fast and the Furious franchise. He was great in that, but he also played Tsute in Avatar. And I did not put that together, man. And then if you look at his face, you can totally see it.
Which one's Sute?
I knew you guys were going to say that. Oh, my God. I guarantee you there's some nerd listening to this podcast, one of the 21 nerd listeners that we actually have listening to the show, and he's pounding the desk and screaming at the speakers.
Okay.
Assuming that he's listening to the podcast at a desk. Anyway.
Well, what's he saying? Because I would like to know.
He's saying, how the hell could you not know who Tsute is?
I don't fucking know. It's
you idiots.
Dances with Wolves with Blue People was fucking 15 years ago. I can't remember.
Yeah. That one kid can go out and fucking obtain some unobtainium.
Yeah.
Why don't you obtain this?
Yeah, there you go.
Oh my God.
So let's again, for the 30th time, we're going to try to get back on track here. Anyway, so enough about Tsute. Now we're going to just sort of skim through each episode point by point. Strap in, folks. We're in for another 3 hours.
Bada bing.
Jarhigo, why don't you start us off?
Yeah. Laying cable, right?
Yeah, that was pretty funny.
That's so funny, man. That was a really great opening.
That was a good one.
I'd never heard that term, laying cable, as taking a shit.
Oh my God.
It's very fitting for this episode, though.
It really is.
It is. It really, really is. I just thought that exchange was really funny in the beginning.
It somehow really made you got their relationship just from that little conversation. Like it made it real. It made it real.
It was playful. It was sexy. It was a little gross. It worked.
Yeah, and I love how later in the season when he's upset, I think Huey's talking to Starlight, and he's like, the last thing I said was, "Don't besmirch Billy Joel." I'll have to live with that for the rest of my life. I love that little bit. It was so funny.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was it. There's a lot of great dialogue in this. I wrote down some of my highlights, and I don't have a ton of notes from episode 1, but I got a few. One of the notes just says Elizabeth Shue, and I don't really think I need to say more than that.
That's all you need to say.
I really liked the line. I love how he said, "You look like you're in a porn version of The Matrix." Yeah.
He kind of did, though. It was pretty good.
He did.
That was a good one.
If he ripped all of his clothes off but kept the long leather coat and with the beard, the scruffy beard, total porn Matrix. The only thing would be he would have to have on is a pair of high top Chuck Connors or something. Just to kind of round out the look. Oh, I just died there again.
I'm trying to figure out what a Chuck Connor would be.
It's a pair of Converse All-Stars.
Well, the Chuck Taylors.
Sorry, Chuck Taylors. Holy
Chuck
shit,
Connors.
I just died twice again. Wow.
You died again. The only thing that I could think of was a Sean Connery, Chuck Taylor kind of crossover where they do a sponsor, a collab.
Did you say Sean Connery or Chuck Woolery?
Sean Connery, Chuck Woolery collaboration to create the ultimate Converse. That'd be amazing. God. Hey man, they're doing stranger collabs these days. Chuck Woolery, Sean Connery sneaker.
Converse All Stars. Chuck. Those are some nice shoes, Chuck. Do they make them for men?
Some lovely shoes, Chuck.
Oh my God.
Fuck, that's good.
Check out my Tartan Converse All Stars.
Oh, Tartan All Stars, dude? Fucking totally.
Oh my God. Chad, you know what? I really... The thing about that death that's really great is that Chad kind of teed it up, Ben. He was he kind of saw me on the edge of the cliff.
Oh, I saw it.
I was backing up towards the edge of the cliff, and he was just stuck his finger out and pushed me, and I fell.
You were on the edge of the curb, and then A Train came along and just smashed into you.
That's it. That is it.
Okay, so
Wow, that I think I just died there. That fell flat.
No, that was good.
Wait, what was that comment?
You always die when Kev's either reading something on the internet instead of participating in his own podcast or drinking coffee.
Oh, man.
Wait, what was the comment that you just made, Ben?
No, you were saying that you were teetering on the edge, and then Chad just like, all he had to do is push you with a finger and you went off. And what I really wanted to interject at that moment was, and then A-Train came by and blew you apart. But I didn't get a chance to, so I had to like resurrect the whole thing. And then there just like nobody, like Chad was like, that was good, but nobody laughed. So, yeah.
Sorry, Ben.
Potential death right there. It happens all the time.
It does happen. It's happening a lot.
That was really good, dude. That would have been like the perfect tie-in comment as well. My child is like, Tiny Gojira is like behind me making a lot of Gojira noise.
Sounds like Booberry.
Yeah. Sounds like Booberry. Hey.
It's like, ooh.
Booberry.
Booberry.
Oh my God, dude! I remember when we came up with. No, I shouldn't talk about that right now.
Yeah, no, we got to keep plowing through. Are we still like in episode 1 here?
We're still in episode 1. I have notes for a few notes for 1 and 2, so I'll we can kind of go off of that and whatever else Ben has, and then we can go for you. I just want to tie this into I had said we were going to talk about the music before, and then we didn't because we went on our like 50th digression. But I had as a note for episode 1, really cool music when he's going through the metal detector at Vote, and the music in general, I guess you could say it was a lot of like overplayed, sort of hackneyed. Like they used a lot of songs, like a lot of 80s songs, firstly, some 90s songs.
Which I'm totally down for.
Yeah, which I mean, we've heard them all a million times, but I think it's a great example of, it's all about, in real estate, they say location, location, location. And where they chose to put in those songs, I thought was right at the perfect moment. So I don't personally really care that they use songs that may be overused in films, but I thought that the way that they tied in the popular music songs with the score was just great, man. And they really dropped some great tracks in at absolutely the right moment.
Yeah, man, I'm totally on board with using pop cultural music in movies and TV these days. I loved it too. I thought it was great.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah. Any chime in from our resident musician?
Yeah, no, the soundtrack was great, I think, and like you said, Kev, they did a good job of dropping things in at the right time to sort of to drive the emotional content. Yeah.
So last in the part 1 episode, Ben, I was talking about how we hadn't yet talked about how many times Billy Butcher says cunt in this show, and I had counted it as 45,623. I think one of the first times he says it is when I think when he smashes through the storefront at Gary's Electronics.
Yeah, this is our introduction to the character, essentially, right?
Yeah, essentially, yeah. I think it's either when he smashes through or before he smashes through. I can't remember how that sequence of events goes, but he goes, well, if it ain't the invisible cunt. I just thought that was a really nicely written line. My other highlight line from that episode, which is my favorite line from that episode, is when he sort of he kind of hooks Huey, and he's starting to give him like, the sell on like the whole idea of the boys, right? And they're doing like a little walk and talk through Times Square in New York. And he's like, no, you got to come with me to this place. And Jack Quaid says, I don't want to go to a second location with you.
Yeah, man.
Oh my God. That just absolutely killed me, man. It wasn't so much the line as the way he said it was so perfect, man. He was like, it was kind of like, sexual predator scary, like the way he said it. Like, I don't want to go to a second location with you. I'm not comfortable with that. Like, I just thought that was great.
Yeah.
Yeah. Episode 2. I mean, I don't really have a ton of notes for 2.
There's a lot of weird stuff that happens in episode 2 relating to Stillwell and her lactation.
Yeah, you're right about that. And it's also that's like when they really just start ramping it up, because I really feel like episode 1 is like they're setting the scene, and they're kind of like letting everybody kind of discover what the world is that the Seven and the boys live in. You know what I mean? And then it's like episode 2. Okay, now we're cooking. You know what I mean? Like, here's the story.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, there's a scene. I think it's like a pretty intense scene with Osa the Shoe and Anthony Starr, and I think it's like she's like kind of chastising him for she's chastising him for blowing up the airplane.
Mayor's plane, yeah.
Is that the one or whatever? But anyway, it's like it kind of. I remember it finishes up and he's like pissed off at her and he goes, "You're leaking," and the camera pans down and like her shirt's wet. And then there's another scene towards the end of the episode, and it's like Homelander is just standing there, and Starlight comes through, and he's just like standing in the hallway staring at a painting of himself, apparently.
Yeah.
And then Starlight comes in, and like they just talk about whatever for a second. And she's like, "All right, well, I'm tired. I'm going to go to bed." And he's like, "All right, good night." And he keeps staring. And like, there's a moment where you see that he's checking out Stillwell, and she's got her breast pumps on or whatever. But like, it almost looks like he could have been like fapping. You know what I mean? Like, it was just weird. It was like a weird scene.
I mean, without getting without doing a deep dive, because I think we did enough deep dive last week about this show, but like and I think we did talk about this, like the whole Stillwell and him, the whole like mommy thing, like was just super fucking dark.
Yeah, but fucking genius at the same time.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
I'm not saying it's not, brother.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's like they reveal in that scene that like he's not staring at the picture of himself, that he's like using his X-ray vision to look through the wall at her, and he's just kind of like layering and like breathing heavy, and like they're focused on his face, but it was weird. I was like, is he
yeah,
is he jerking off? Like
on episode 2 and kind of the first couple episodes, one of the things I really appreciated about the show was that they took the time to bring the team of the boys together, where the comic they're already all a team except for Huey. So, Huey comes on board in the comic, and like they're all like Frenchie and Mother's Milk and Butcher and the female are all already a crew, and he just comes on board the crew. And I like that they took the time in the show to kind of bring the crew together one by one.
All right,
it really added a lot.
I'm down
to the
with
story.
that.
Yeah,
I like that too. That was definitely cool. And now I appreciate that more that you mentioned that about the timeline in the comic books.
I also really like the intro. Well, I think we touched on this last week, but I also really like the introduction of like the PR people, and they're like, "Oh, your numbers are up in the Midwest with white women 23%," and I just love that kind of bullshit. The like analytics kind of Twitter follower influencer bullshit that they sprinkled throughout.
Yeah,
no, that was very cool. And those two guys were actually on, I think if I'm pronouncing the showrunner's name right, Eric Kripke. He's the guy, and he was in the behind the scenes commentary. I know you watched some of those, Chad, and he mentions in there that those two guys were on his other show called Timeless, which was a time travel show that was on Hulu that was really cool. Well, it wasn't on Hulu, but it played on Hulu as well. It's now canceled, unfortunately, but those two guys were on that show, and so he kind of brought them in to do those parts.
They were funny in those bits too, where like they told the PR story about her like putting on the slinky outfit. That was Starlight. That was hilarious.
Mm-hmm.
Very funny. My only other notes for Ep 2 are we talked about fighting. We have talked about fighting a bunch on this show. And we have talked about how not to fight, how to film it, what we think, obviously. Ben and I have studied martial arts for a long time.
And let me interrupt. I dipped my hands in gummy bears.
And oh my God, dude.
I just went with colored jimmies, personally.
Yeah. Sprinkles.
Multicolored jimmies.
Sprinkles.
Yeah. So I also have some kung fu, and it just happens to involve ice cream toppings.
I like it, dude. But that being said, the scene where Maeve is practicing her like fighting skills in like the gym with all those like giant dudes that are shirtless and tattooed is like gotta be. And if I had one gripe about this entire series, this is it. It is the worst fight scene I have ever seen in my life. Like, you cannot see one thing that is actually happening in there. That's it.
Like the choreography was shit or the filming was shit?
Just the filming was terrible because it's like they did all that like stupid up close filming like they did in Batman Begins and just like ruined it.
Right.
So you couldn't see jack squat. Anyway, moving on. My only other note is, and this is sort of another Batman reference actually, when that guy is in that building shooting all those people and then Homelander and Maeve just walk up like having a conversation about like taxes or whatever, and then they like go into the building and they go up to the floor and the guy with the machine gun turns around and he pulls his heart out or whatever he does. I don't know if he pulls his heart out or not. Yeah, total Om No Shiva. Exactly. Nice freaking name drop, dude. Jesus.
Temple of Doom, dude.
Kalima Shakti De.
Kalima.
Kalima.
Dude, Temple of Doom.
Om Nam Shiva, Om Nam Shiva, Om Nam Shiva, Om Nam Shiva. Insert clip here, Chad.
Om Nam Shiva, Om Nam Shiva, Om Nam Shiva, Om Nam Shiva.
It's only a matter of time before Mullah Ram reared his head in this show.
Totally, man.
Ooh, dude.
Indy.
Wow. Did you say Molaram or Mumra? I couldn't understand you.
I believe the character's name was Mullah Ram.
I think you're right.
Oh, I'm sorry. I thought you said Mumra.
Mumra.
Ooh, nice, dude. That was a joke disguised as a name drop disguised as a joke.
Dude, digression number 47. Did you guys see the creation of Battle Cat video I put on our Facebook page? Speaking of He-Man.
Oh shoot, no.
Dude, you gotta check it out. It's fucking hilarious.
I have not checked it out in a couple of days, so yeah.
I will.
I'll put the video in the show notes. You guys gotta see it.
Let me finish my actual comment. So when he pulls the guy, we got stuck on Onam Shiva, he pulls the guy's heart out, and I'm pretty sure I couldn't find the info, but I'm pretty sure that the guy whose heart he pulls out is the actor that played Joe Chill in Batman Begins, the guy that murdered Martha Wayne and oh my god, Thomas Wayne.
Nerd license revoked.
Wow, that was so bad. You know what? You got to cut that out completely.
Dude, you thoroughly died there. I can't cut that out.
That was it. Yeah, I mean, dude.
All right. Keep it in.
Write that one down.
I am. I have like little pluses adding on my desk.
So while you write that down to close up episode 2, unless you got something to add after Benny, Huey blowing up. Oh, no. Yeah, that is episode 2. Huey blowing up Translucent at the end of episode 2. On one side, it's great. It's a perfect way for him to kind of,
get his hands dirty.
Yeah, get his hands dirty. Exactly. Thank you to the poster in the background. And it's a great contrast to the comic because in the comic, he ends up beating a superhero to death in a street brawl.
Wow.
Huey. So, like, the way that Huey gets involved is by getting forced to kind of beat up some lowly, shitty minion in a street brawl in the comic. Whereas in the show, it's more like he kind of is forced to do it, and it's a little bit less of a bit less of a lame setup. I kind of much preferred the C4 up the poop shoot thing.
Yeah, well, it's like a do or die scenario, whereas what you were describing from the comic book sounds more like a hazing kind of a thing. Like,
exactly.
Yeah. I agree with that. I think that's good. Moving along to episode 3, I have one note, and that is pizza rolls.
Pizza rolls.
Oh my god. Pizza rolls.
That was such a terrific scene where, he's just like, I got to fucking go home. And he goes home and he gets changed and he kind of freaks out and like tears down all of his Vought superhero memorabilia. And Simon Pegg comes in and he's like, what's wrong? And, he's like trying to calm him down. He's like, come on, man. Hank, stay here. I'll make some pizza rolls. And he was like, I fucking hate pizza rolls.
It's such a perfect father-son dynamic for sure.
Yeah, it's like it's really, really well done, and it's like kind of funny, but it's also really like emotional too. Like it's just like his poor dad's just like trying to comfort him, and like he's just not having it. And yeah, I thought that's like the only thing I have written down for episode 3. So,
and I think that's really the only comment we need to make for episode 3, because that scene alone, there's so many powerful things going on there. Because I mean, when you tie in the nostalgia of pizza rolls, because I remember those disgusting things, and then you tie in like, the inevitable, sort of like, I'm a grown person now, dad conversation that I feel like almost every boy has with his father, and possibly girl with their mother. I have no idea, but it's a powerful scene, man. It's funny, but it's powerful too, man.
Yeah.
It really sold the dad doesn't get me kind of thing very well.
Oh my God, totally, man. I thought it was awesome.
Absolutely. Yeah.
Okay, episode 4, let's go.
That's the plane scene, which we covered in the last episode, which, I don't think we need to touch on it again necessarily, but it's like
No.
probably, I would argue maybe like the key moment in the entire season is just like the holy shit moment of the plane. So the episode kind of sets up for that and kind of pushes all the way through to chasing the female through that mall.
Yeah, which is where Billy Butcher delivers his famous Spice Girls speech.
My God, that's the best.
Okay, so episode 4 is 3 key things: the plane, the discovery of the girl, and Billy Butcher delivering the Spice Girls speech, which really glued the group together.
Really tied the group together.
I'm going to add the Spice Girls speech real quick in just here because I can't do an impression, but...
You see, when they're apart, they're absolute fucking rubbish. But you put them together, they're the goddamn fucking Spice Girls.
They're the goddamn fucking Spice Girls. It's just like, oh my God. So good.
Yeah, it was so good. That was good. Ben, you were making a comment and Chad was yammering and I couldn't hear you. What was that comment?
I don't think I had launched into anything. Maybe I was just going like over here or something. I don't know.
Wow. He mutters. Just for the folks at home that don't know, Jarhigo mutters in Arnoldese when he doesn't have anything to say. He just kind of sits there in the background. He's like, oh wow.
Yeah, right. When Arnold is like in Conan the Barbarian, where like he's still a slave and like they throw him into the pit with that other guy, like he doesn't know how to fight yet, and they're just like totally rolling around on the ground struggling, and he's like
God.
And yet another digression.
That's okay, man, because it was a good one, Jarhigo.
So the Spice Girls is right around the same time as kind of Frenchie and the female are kind of building a relationship where Frenchie's trying to like convince female that he's not going to hurt her and stuff. I really like the way that they built that relationship up throughout the middle of the season.
That whole dynamic with Frenchie and the girl was awesome.
Yeah, it was great.
All I'm going to say. It was super good. Just really, really a lot of emotion there, a lot of really heartfelt stuff. It was just great.
Fantastic.
Because Frenchie really seems like a psycho in the beginning of the show, in the beginning of the series. Anyway, yeah, I agree.
Yeah.
He's well cast, man. I love that guy. Before we move on to episode 5, which it sounds like you're trying to do, we need to talk about the fucking dolphin scene, because that was goddamn hilarious.
I got that here. That was the last one. That's the last note I had on episode 4. Was
well, take it away, Benny. Tell us about it, because I love it.
No, it's just a question, and then we can discuss it. Does the deep fuck dolphins?
Absolutely, he fucks dolphins.
Oh my God, totally, dude. Hello.
I love how he's just driving along and they're like, yeah, okay. No, okay, if I touch it, will you shut up? It's just like so disgusting.
I know. And the way they structured that scene, like with like, you know, he's at like escape velocity in the Sprinter van with the dolphin in the back talking about sex, and then it's like, and I gotta say that the whole cop car thing was a little weird. Like the cop car comes racing up the side, then does like a power slide and stops in front of him to stop. I was like, what?
Hey,
why would you do that?
Whatever.
Anyway,
it set up a
whatever.
perfect hilarious slow-mo.
It totally did. And like just like the dolphin flying in slow-mo and then getting hit by the truck was just like, wow, okay.
I definitely cracked up at that one, even though it was ridiculous.
Yeah, the deep really, you know, he really steps in it when he takes his penis out in the beginning for Starlight. It's sort of like just, yeah, that's the beginning of the end.
It's I love that they, you know, like I feel like the Aquaman, variant has always been a tough sell. Like everybody's always like, dude's lame. And I love how they just leaned into that with the Deep. Like he's the Aquaman type, but he's also a total schmuck.
Oh my God, total schmuck, dude. And he's also like, he's kind of sensitive too. Like I never watched Gossip Girl, so I never saw what Chase Crawford did on that show, but like he was in like The Coven, or there was like a male witch movie years ago, sort of like a whatever, kind of a quasi proto-teen movie. I mean, it was an okay movie, but like I don't remember him being awesome in that. But like I was really impressed with him. I thought he really played that part well. Of like, the loser who just keeps on losing, man.
Yeah, it just keeps stepping in it,
Oh my God, he steps in like one pile of shit to the next.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Absolutely.
And he lands in Sandusky, Ohio with Tommy Boy.
Yes, sir. Oh God.
There's no chocolate pudding in there, buddy.
Yeah. All right, so you guys want to keep going? What else do you guys have for episode 4?
Well, that's it for me.
That's all.
4.
That's all I got. Yeah.
On to Jesus Camp.
Okay.
Yeah, Jesus Camp. The Believe Expo.
That was when I really thought Starlight you really see a lot of great acting from Erin Moriarty, and just like how great a character Starlight is.
Yeah.
And she's really just dialing it in, dude. And just like Ezekiel, that guy was a creep.
He was a total creep.
I mean, we don't know who he is. We see him at the beginning of episode 1, but we don't really get who he is until like we go to the Believe Expo, and it's like that guy is just a creep.
Yeah,
super creep.
Totally creepy. Stretch Armstrong at the gay bar in episode 1, and then just like a weirdo.
Totally.
He's like the perfect. I love what the costume designers did with him. He's got like a white tank top and like white torn up jeans and kind of like bleached tip, kind of whatever that freaking chef is with the bleached hair. Like it was perfect.
Guy Fieri. He took the words out of my mouth. Yeah.
Total Guy Fieri. Oh, and that reminds me, we need to link up a great Guy Fieri video from that I have watched on YouTube in the show notes.
Send it to me and I'll put it on the Facebook page for people to check out.
I will, because it's also a nod to these guys that have a channel on YouTube that are pretty funny. At any rate, Total Guy Fieri. Guy Fieri, and then Whoa. And then also, what else was I going to say about that guy? He was super creepy, and I loved like how he just like had this one little thing that jumped out at me, like when he's on the stage, like right when we're introduced to him, he's like, doing that whole like sort of, I don't know what you call it. It's like I don't want to say new age because that's not the right word, and I don't want to like rag on younger people exactly, but he's just like, hey man, we're out here, we got this, and oh yeah, Christ. You know what I mean?
Yeah, that was totally like all of you guys go down to the school assembly and they get some older people to talk about drugs and they pretend like they're 12 years old. Like, hello, young people.
Right. They pretend like it's like older, like it's like parents trying to be hip. You know what I mean? Or like whatever you want to call it. Like, I thought that was like the perfect little thing. I don't know, whatever. It's just a small thing.
It's like that Steve Buscemi meme where it's like, hello, fellow young person.
Exactly. Exactly, dude.
I just got that.
Dude, Buscemi, he just pops up everywhere in this podcast. I love it, man.
Just to give you another excuse to mispronounce his name. I love it.
Right, totally. Well, that was like the main reason why I said it, dude, because I love mispronouncing his name. I don't really have anything else about episode 5.
It's all right. He doesn't care how you pronounce it. He's just happy you're talking about him.
He doesn't. That's the beauty of it, dude. That's the beauty of it.
I'm the only one that does.
So that's all I got for 5. Anybody?
Yeah, Jesus Camp, real quick. I think I really liked, just to dig a little bit deeper on the Starlight character development there, I really liked how there was a conflict where, she's sitting down in that circle with the priest and the kids and like is kind of encouraged to be anti-sex and anti-gay and stuff like that, or to push their religion on people. And the conflict there I really enjoyed because that's not really done at all in the comics at all. So I was really interested. It was really interesting character development for her there. And then obviously the kind of Me Too stuff towards the end was quite a powerful scene as well.
Yeah.
And if I could just add a quickie thing about how I think it's also a nod to, I think over the last like bunch of years, we've gotten a lot of like these like mega church guys, that have come out and are making like billions of dollars on, selling people's salvation. And I think it was a nice little jab to that too.
Absolutely.
Yeah, that sort of, the hypocrite preacher or the hypocrite politician, that whole thing. Yeah, that's I like seeing light brought to that subject.
Yeah, definitely.
And then also like you get Starlight up there bearing her soul and being like, I'm not going to take this shit anymore. And a cheaper way to go would have been like the crowd to start clapping afterwards. But the fact that they're all just standing there in stunned silence was quite awesome as well.
Yeah.
And the fact that Huey was the only one clapping was great.
Yeah, he was so pumped. Huey was stoked. Which is perfect. It's a perfect opportunity for me to say another comic thing, because in the comic, Huey doesn't know she's a soup until way later in the comic, and then when he finds out about the sexual assault, it's because Butcher shows him some surveillance footage, and he goes to Starlight and basically like berates her and calls her a whore and a slut, and like he's like, I never want to see you again, and she's like crying on the ground, and he's like, you fucking whore, and it's just like, what the fuck. So
Jesus.
Wow.
For the show to be able to have it be like a really powerful moment for Starlight, the crowd not to clap, and then Huey to be super stoked about it, it was like a perfect way to take the way that society is currently talking about the Me Too thing and like incorporate it into the show. And the commentary, one of the commentary things, like he talks about how the Me Too thing happened while they were writing, and they're like, oh, perfect, we can fucking make this part of it. And I think it's way better. It just makes it so much more, I don't know, so much less lame and so much more powerful.
Interesting.
I like how Huey and Starlight sort of reconciled towards the end there, though. I like the way they pulled that together as well.
Yeah, totally.
Yeah, me too. I was rooting for them the whole time, Ben.
Yeah, because he's trying to pull all these favors with her or whatever, and she's just like, what the fuck? Like, I thought this guy, you can clearly tell that she kind of likes him, and that, she's pissed off because she feels like she's just being used. And, it's like Huey's just trying to do what he has to do so he can get in and talk to Ezekiel. But I like that they pulled it all back together in that one episode, and that it didn't go down some avenue of unnecessary drama, and tension ratcheting,
I agree. Totally.
Does anybody else have anything for episode 5? Because I have one little thing I'd like to add to it.
Do it. I got a couple after you.
Okay. Fucking baby laser eyes.
Dude, yes. So good.
Oh man, how could I want to skip that? Yeah.
Oh my god, man. That was just oh my god.
That was
I loved that.
Perfect.
It's like a perfect Garth Ennis moment, and it's one where it actually they pulled it off.
Oh, they pulled it off perfectly.
Yeah.
So good.
Yeah. Like those dudes come in and like they duck and I'm like, oh fuck, what's gonna happen? Then he comes back out and he's got the baby.
It just cuts them. It like talk about Goretoberfest, man. It just fucks them up.
Just totally fucks them up. And there's just like some great kind of like, pretty noticeable like switching back and forth from like, baby doll to actual baby kind of stuff going on. It's terrific. And then there's something. Did you guys see Dredd? Did you guys see Dredd?
Yeah, totally.
So there's Dredd, meaning with Carl Urban.
Yeah, the Carl Urban one. Is that the name of it? Is it Dredd? Is it?
Yeah, Dredd. Yeah.
Dredd, okay. So there's a scene with a standoff much like that in Dredd, and it sort of reminded me of that whole thing, where there's like a couple corrupt judges come in to try and take him out. You remember that scene?
Not off the top of my head, no. Remind me.
I'm still stuck on the fact that you just asked me if I've seen Dredd, and I'm wondering and hoping that was a damn joke, dude.
It's daggers, Kev.
He's so subtly stabbing me with his daggers. I love it.
Stabbing you 1,000 tiny cuts, Kev. I'm taking you down a little bit at a time.
No, he was actually asking if you've seen Dredd today, not if you'd seen it at all.
I knew you would have seen it. I was kind of just, asking Chad, but for the benefit of the audience, asking everybody,
Yeah, Kev.
Sorry, Chad. Jesus.
Far be it for them to assume that we're all know-it-alls here,
I'm definitely a know-it-all.
Yeah, right. Exactly. Because we're definitely that. Yeah, totally. All right. So, yeah, the standoff scene was definitely similar to the one in Dredd. Totally.
Yeah, there was something about it that, I had a weird little flashback when I saw that scene. So, anyways.
Nice, dude.
All right, two super minor points on episode 5. One, Mother's Milk says to Butcher, "Where were you?" And Butcher responds, "Oh, I just had to pop down to the shop. I was running a bit low on mind your own fucking business." I love that.
Fuck yeah, that's good.
Very funny.
And then the only other minor thing is, so A-Train kills Popclaw, which is pretty heavy, and then watches sex videos of him fucking her to feel better, and opens with him watching her movie that's got a cameo with Billy Zane. So I just wanted to throw the Billy Zane cameo in there.
Billy Zane, I know.
Yes, and then I got to point out that later on in episode 6 or 7, we see when the Mesmer is doing the signing, Billy Zane is there, which is great because Billy Zane was awesome, is awesome, and will always be awesome. And I don't know why he fell out of favor with people.
I love Billy Zane. And I love how the only 2 movies that I've seen him in 20 years is his cameo in Zoolander and now his cameo in The Boys.
Yeah.
Oh, you're such a turd, dude. He was in Tombstone. He had an awesome part in Tombstone. He was the Phantom.
But wasn't that before Zoolander though?
Way before, yeah.
Exactly. So I'm saying the 2 most recent things I've seen him in are those 2 things, I love Billy Zane. I love a lot of his older movies, but I think it's hilarious that the only things I've seen recently are those 2.
Oh, okay. Fair enough. Okay. What was your other note? Because we need to move on.
That's it.
Let's make a little show note thing. Tombstone. I'd like to talk about that in the future.
Yeah. Really, really good. We need to explore a Western too, Ben. Great idea.
Roger that. Episode 6.
Go. The Innocents. Super in America. Let's party.
Mesmer. Not in the comics at all. Loved him.
Got to talk about Haley Joel Osment. I mean, he's a grown man now, and he was a child when we all first were introduced to him in The Sixth Sense with Bruce Willis. And I got to tell you, I was really psyched to see him in there, man.
Absolutely, man. I thought the Mesmer, even regardless of casting, the Mesmer thing was fantastic.
Oh my God, totally.
Haley Joel Osment, between this and his cameo in Silicon Valley, man, I love that he's getting some acting as an older actor.
Yeah.
Same here. He's great. And he's great as the Mesmer. And I just the way he plays it, the whole thing is just great. And I actually made a note because I have, that's not until episode 7, so I can't say that. Go ahead.
Sure you can.
No, I'm not going to, whatever your name is. Algo Chad.
The Mesmer, I love how Mesmer starts off, Comic-Con, washed out dude, a la Popclaw, and then ends up getting brought back into the fold, tries to give his daughter one of his DVDs. That was fucking hilarious. It's I don't have a DVD player. It's you're fucking weird, man.
Yeah.
Oh my God. I'm sorry, I'm still stuck on Alga Chad. I really like that.
A new name has been coined.
And yet another superhero name has been coined, Alga Chad. All right, anyway. Yeah, daughter, DVD, got it. Go.
Roger, check, and go.
I was starting to feel hopeful that we were going to bring this one home, but
nah, it's gone. Got away from us.
Man, we were on a fucking roll.
We are. This is going to be the long episode, the longest. So go ahead, Benny. What did you have? What else did you have for 6?
My dog ate the last few episodes here. I can't find anything beyond episode 5. Yeah, I don't know what the fuck happened.
I really liked that episode. There was nothing that really jumped out at me. That was
just Mesmer it. Oh, one thing for me was the deep apologizing, which was good in and of itself. But my favorite thing about that is that the scene is him on the news apologizing, and then the channel changes as soon as he says, like, it cuts off him apologizing. It goes straight to like a Mesmer commercial, which I thought was hilarious that they changed the channel during the apology.
Oh, the Mesmer opening of the TV show. It was like it was so perfectly like done, like 80s. You know, it was super cheesy,
like Doogie Howser kind of, but like the young fucking detective thing.
like Doogie Howser or Small Wonder or Punky Brewster. Yeah, totally. All those things wrapped into one and then thrown inside of a sushi roll. Definitely. I also enjoyed
thrown inside of a Haley Joel.
Pretty much a Haley Joel. Sorry, did I say sushi roll? I meant Haley Joel.
Yeah.
But it was I like the deep, like the various different cuts, the takes that he was doing to get the apology right on the TV. It was like, I don't know, it was again yet like another peek behind the curtain of like, you know, the sort of corporate superhero world. So whatever, nothing to expound on there. Just another really cool thing. Oh my God, you know what I just realized is that Simon Pegg, of course, was in Star Trek with Karl Urban. Duh.
Hey.
Wow.
Two great castings, Scotty and Bones.
Totally. Scotty and Bones. What do you guys have? Are we done with 6? Can we move on to 7? Or
I got nothing on 7. That was the Vogelbaum episode, though, Kev. You mentioned that last episode.
Right.
7 is Vogelbaum or 6?
7. Homelander goes to see Vogelbaum.
Okay, we already talked about Vogelbaum. That was great. I do have a couple of notes for 7. Most of them are deep related. Well, firstly, just to like sort of wrap up the Mesmer, like the way he gets dispatched by Billy was like,
that was crazy.
Hyper violent. I was like, wow, that was a little over the top. You know what I mean? Like, I didn't really think the Mesmer had done anything that deserved Billy like bashing his head in on a sink. I was like, oh my God, okay.
It does kind of cement Billy as a, you know, ultimate assassin of the supers, where he's just like, I don't care who you are, you're a soup, you're dead to me.
Right. Totally. I just thought that was like so over the top. Wow. Anyway, what else did I have there? Oh my God, when the Deep talks to the lobster in the grocery store.
Oh, yeah.
Just seeing him.
I forgot about that.
Oh man.
Okay. Just like, you know, again, kind of going back to like him being like stepping in it again. You know, he's like, here I am again. He stepped in it again. He's got his super suit on with a trench coat and he's pushing a grocery cart. I was like, yeah, you really arrived, man. You know, like
he's such a washout.
Oh, he's such a washout, dude. It was so funny, that scene. And then the guy like the guy like chopped the lobster's head off and he was like, you know,
oh man,
so good. Okay, so let's see. Oh, all right. Right before he beats the Mesmer to death in the bathroom, there's a choice line there. He goes, "I planted one of these. I planted one of these on you back at your place because, you know, fuck you." That was really good. I thought that was really great. And then I saved my best 2 notes for last. And one of them was, and I mean, we can sort of chat about this, I guess, if you guys want, the sex scene with Deep and that girl when he was, you know, in Ohio after the whole thing with the lobster.
Right. Yeah. It's just got some weird fetish for trying to finger bang his gills.
See, I didn't take it as that. I took that as attempting to fuck with him.
I didn't take it as that either. Yeah, like I was like really getting the role reversal was really coming out at me of like the way that men like date rape women. I was like, he is totally getting like overpowered, date raped, like dominated by this woman, and like,
yeah,
I mean, in every single way. Like, it was perfectly done, and I'm so glad they put that in there.
It was a comeuppance for sure.
Yeah, absolute comeuppance, man. It was great.
So but Chad, you took it as the only reason she was hooking up with him was to fuck with him, like to try and hurt him?
I don't know if that's correct or not, but I took it as the like, I'm gonna fuck with this guy. Yeah, power dynamic thing. And maybe it's because of her beliefs, or maybe it's because, you know, she's into, you know, dominance and you know, S&M shit. But either way, I thought it was, you know, her wanting to dominate him.
I think the scene telegraphed that for sure. Yeah, I definitely got the impression that like that was what she wanted to do when she met up with him, though. You know what I mean? Like she already had it in her head, and that she was definitely enjoying it. and he was not.
Definitely.
Yeah. And it was like humiliating for him and stuff. So
Yeah.
as you said, Kev, like it was important that it was there.
Yeah, absolutely. And Ben, I just wanted to add that the real reason that Chad liked that scene is because he's into tentacle porn.
Yeah, it's true. Yeah.
Man.
Okay, so moving on to my last comment on episode 7 was so episode 7 they do like there's a lot of flashbacking going on, and that's also when they realize that they're burned and they're like, oh, I got da 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 da, and Laz is like Laz is getting Monique and all, his daughter out of their house, and they're bringing him over to the location that they're at, and Billy has that flashback back to Mallory kind of walking in on the first time, discovering him for the first time and like being like, hey, I could be the solution to your problem. Which made me wonder, okay, because Monique hates Billy. She slaps him in the face. And, like when we flash back and we see Billy at the Christmas party with Becca, right when she meets Homelander, like he's completely clean shaven and all that. And it, like, I always got the feeling that many moons had progressed since his wife went missing. And so it begs the question, especially after Monique slaps him in the face, like, and him and Mother's Milk had been having that conversation. He's like, no, I'm not going to do this again. I told you I wasn't going to get involved with you again. Like, have there been other adventures with the boys prior to what we're seeing on the screen? Because it certainly hints at that. I don't know if I missed something or there was something in the comics or what. What do you guys think?
I think the show definitely pointed to, I mean, clearly they were doing something because they got the band back together. They got the Spice Girls back together. You know what I mean? Frenchie and Mother's Milk, like clearly Frenchie and Mother's Milk and Billy were up to something before.
Yeah, what though?
And it was definitely taking down Soups, I think.
Okay, all right. That's what I thought.
Yeah, that's in there. That's definitely a thing.
Does it talk at all? I'm really hesitant to say anything because I feel like a lot of the comic stuff is gonna spoil season 2. There's nothing overly major, but does the show get into Mallory much at all?
Well, she's ex-CIA. She founded the boys. She was the one that got the ball rolling, and it was apparently because her grandchildren were killed by a lamplighter, when she was investigating Vought.
Sorry to be so cryptic. I just wanted to make sure I didn't say anything. So yeah, in the comic, Mallory is the founder, and Mallory is a man. Well, not that it's relevant. And Mallory's kids are killed by lamplighter, and that is the adventure adventure is a shitty term, but that is the storyline in the comic that is alluded to as why the boys were on the rocks.
Because dude, you just knitted my whole thing together.
Yeah, so
nice.
Mallory founds the boys do a bunch of things, whatever. One of the last storylines is Lamplighter ends up killing Mallory's kids, and then the band breaks up.
Grandchildren, yep.
Yeah, sorry, the grandchildren. And then the band breaks up, Spice Girls have broken up, and then however many years go by, whatever, whether or not it's before or after Butcher's wife leaving, I would presume after.
Radio.
Because he joins the boys after. Yeah, so
yeah,
some time goes by, and then Butcher tries to get the band back together after Huey, and he captured Translucent. So
okay. My last note about Mallory is she's played by actress Layla Robbins, who was Neil Page's wife in Planes, Trains, and Automobiles.
There you go. I love the obscure
and she was
stuff.
Also
so good.
I know, I'm such a nerd. And she was also in a film that I shot. In fact, the only film that I have shot to date. And I had a chance to meet her at one of like the sort of promotional events that we did for that film. And she was absolutely lovely. And that's all I'm going to say.
Cool.
Yeah.
Terrific.
Do we need to move? Are we ready? Terrific.
That's wonderful.
Are you guys ready to move on to 8 and wrap this up?
Sure thing.
Yeah, man. I don't have a lot to say on 8.
I don't either, because we really kind of covered the main thing about 8, which was Homelander killing Stillwell, and then the whole end scene with the yard and all that.
The only 2 things that we didn't really touch on last week that are on episode 8 that I've got are Vought recovering from the CIA coming down on them by planting the Compound V on those terrorists, which I thought was a kind of a clever PR twist.
Oh, that was crazy. Yes.
Mm.
Well, they were sort of, I think it was also a play on like the whole idea of like, creating your own enemy.
Yeah, for sure. Which Homelander creating the villains and then telling Stillwell and kind of shocking her after she gets promoted in that cocktail party. That was pretty. That's the other note that I've got for that, which is a pretty interesting twist. I couldn't figure out whether that was in the comic or not. I don't think it is, but I thought him being like, I did this, was quite like, oh shit. And it kind of really cements her being terrified of him, I think, which really lends a lot of weight to that end scene.
Mm-hmm. Definitely. Well said. Yeah, that's a good point, Chad.
But other than that, the whole episode is just a lead up to the end scene, basically. I can't remember whether I think Huey saving the boys in that compound was in episode 7, and then Starlight actually coming back and helping Huey was a part of the 8th episode.
She helped Huey with A-Train, right?
Yeah, exactly. Oh, that's another thing. In the comic, Huey kills A-Train, and in the show, he decides to, do CPR and save him. So I thought that was a really good choice, and one of the commentaries was talking about how Billy gets punished for being selfish and leaving the boys by getting dropped on the lawn of his not dead wife, and Huey gets rewarded for being loyal to the boys by having Starlight come back and help him, which I thought was a cool commentary bit.
Definitely, man.
But I liked way better that Huey helps A-Train, because in the comic he just fucking kills him. So it's just another bit of vengeance, and the whole thing's about vengeance instead of like, I don't know, the opposite.
Totally. But I think that's sort of the great thing about this show is that like the characters are well developed, you know what I mean? And you see the moral dilemmas. Like one thing I meant to talk about in this second part here was, you really can see Queen Maeve's like moral dilemma throughout like episode 6 and 7, as she sort of bonds with Starlight. And then like, when Homelander calls like the meeting, and he's like, this guy, and he's showing up, he's showing all the pictures of like Huey and Butcher and Milk, and he's saying like, these guys are tearing us apart and it's all Starlight's fault. And she really sticks up for Starlight.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. She's like, don't worry about her. I got her, and then like, she's really kind of, saying to Starlight on the side, like, be the superhero that you thought I was when you read my bio all those times. You know what I mean? I don't know. Maybe not. That's what I was getting from it.
Yeah, and even she goes back to her girlfriend when she's torn up about the plane scene and stuff. Like, Maeve was very well fleshed out.
Exactly. And I just dug that you could see the dilemma in the characters. I mean, it's a testament to the way it was written and the quality of the acting as well.
Yeah.
So, boom, there you go. Podcast done.
Great contrast to Homelander in terms of him being a sociopath.
Yeah, exactly.
So we want to do a quick TV show letter grade ranking?
Yeah, let's do it. I already know what my ranking is. It's an A.
Absolutely.
Solid A.
Solid A.
Solid A, man.
I think for me it was an A+ on first viewing, and then unfortunately the comic made the second viewing a little less enjoyable, which kind of sucks. So it went from an A+ to an A, but it's still a fucking great show that everyone needs to check out.
That's unfortunate. Yeah, definitely. I definitely guess an A from Mulvey.
Yeah, definitely.
And was that yours, Benny? A solid A?
Solid A. Not an A+, a solid A.
A's all around.
Not an A+.
Yeah.
Solid A. Totally.
I gave it a compound V.
Oh!
What? Another drop right there.
That's rich.
Sharhigo really bringing the prototrope thunder tonight.
Dude, you're killing it.
You know it.
You are. You really are, man. So anyway, that was our the second part of our treatise on The Boys. We hope that all of you folks out there enjoyed it. Guys, what do we have coming up on the what do we got coming down the pike for guys?
Yeah, I don't know. What are we doing next week?
No, you're not. That's not what you're supposed to say, Chad.
No?
I don't think so. I don't know. I have no idea. I think we got this whole head of steam about like all these things that we were doing for like 2 months, and then we were like,
folks, when Chad doesn't know what we're doing, we're in fucking trouble.
Yeah, because that's when the whole show falls apart. Anyway, for the folks at home, we it's a secret. It's a surprise,
it's a secret episode.
And it's gonna be good because it's coming from the boys at in this episode, everybody dies.
Are we going in order? If we're going in order, I'm pretty excited about what next week is going to be.
Okay.
What?
Don't zip a dip dip.
Dude. Shit.
Guys, why don't we let's talk about how he died, and then let's say goodbye to the folks at home.
Sounds good.
Chad?
I died by violently shitting myself, if you recall.
Which was an interesting sort of recurring theme in this week's episode.
No one stuck any C4 up my pooper, but there was some death.
Definitely. Man. I died. Jarhiko, go ahead. You how did you die this week?
Yeah, well, I was attempting to make an A-Train joke where you had set me up for it, and I didn't get to throw it in, and then I tried to do it anyways, and the timing was just off. So, and Chad went so far as to say that was good, but that was it.
I shit myself again on that one, but at the same time, Kev noped out to drink coffee instead of listening to you, so it was kind of his fault that you died.
I did. It is my fault.
Right? Yeah. It was. But you even said he has me on the edge of the curb, and all he had to do was push me with his finger. I was and then A-Train came along and splattered you across the curb, whatever. But yeah.
Oh my God!
Alas,
alas.
Yeah, that was and well, here's the other thing about that is that I didn't say curb. Actually, I said cliff.
But if you want,
and I didn't even now that you're saying curb, I totally even get even more the whole A-Train blowing me away comment.
Right.
Yeah. So if you get the joke now, Kev, you can laugh, and I'll put it back in the show if you want, if it'll make you feel
better. The old retroactive guffaw.
It's
the old retroactive guffaw.
And your multitudes of deaths?
Yeah, I had the pleasure of dying 3 times. Certainly 3 times that were documented in this episode. First was what I thought was a really solid impression of Unkar Plot after I brought up Simon Pegg, and these two just crickets, okay? Then I think the real neutron bomb, hammer of Thor death for me was the Chuck Connors comment.
That was pretty good. Chuck Woolery, Sean Connery. God, that's good.
Yeah, the Matrix of porn. And I'm saying all he needs is a pair of Chuck Connors. And then just Chad going, yeah, I was just trying to figure out who Chuck Connors is, bro. And I still don't know who Chuck Connors is.
But I love him. God bless him.
I know, I do too. Sean Connery and then his cousin Chuck Woolery, right? And then my last death and final death was I was nerding out, bringing up an obscure actor reference that absolutely nobody in the known universe cares about but me, and I absolutely died on that. And that would be the Thomas and Martha Wayne's killer comment about
that was pretty good.
Joe Chill. You guys were just
it was extra special because you couldn't remember Thomas Wayne.
Yeah,
that was what was extra special about it. You're right, Ben. I could not remember Thomas Wayne's name, which is so pathetic.
And anyway. Chad so appropriately said nerd license revoked.
We're done here.
Okay, I think that's going to do it for us at the podcast this week, folks. Without further ado, this is Mulverine bidding you adieu in Klingon, and in Klingon it's Kapla.
Kapla, everybody.
It's actually not, but that's what
Kapla, everyone.
Actually, it's not a hard K. It's a more of a sound.
I'll see you knuckleheads later.
Night gang.
All right, guys. Have a good one. All right, folks, that's going to wrap up this week's episode. Of course, Chad had to go ahead and ruin the surprise, but next week we are going to be talking about the iconic film. You can find the show notes for today's episode in your podcast app of choice or on our website, ebd.fm/episodes/22. You can shoot us questions using the Twitter hashtag AskEBD. You can find me at Mulverine on Twitter. That's MOHLVERINE. Chad is at Chad Normal on Twitter. And of course, Prototrope is at Jarhigo on Twitter. That's JarHeego. I'd like to take a minute and thank everybody so much for tuning into the show. It means so much to me and the boys. If you'd like to support the show, there are 2 great ways you can do it. First, you can rate and review us on iTunes or whichever drive-thru you get your podcasts at. Or you can tell somebody to check out the show. Word of mouth is incredibly powerful, and it really means a lot to us. Thanks again for tuning in and checking out the show, and we'll see you next time.